Hi, welcome to the Sifu Mimi Chan show. Thanks for joining the conversation. Hello, Greg Rucka.
Hello, Mimi. How are you?
Well, I really do mean it this time. Not that I don't every time, but totally missing you.
It is very good to see you. It's been a while.
Oh my gosh.
You look great, by the by.
Oh, thank you.
You look all shiny and
Cut my
good and
hair.
happy. Is that what it is? I mean, I'm horrible that way.
Oh, yeah.
Writers are supposed to be, very observant types, and I'm tragically unobservant about things like that. So I
It's
I
all
couldn't
good.
tell, is it a new hairstyle to get cut? But you
Yeah.
you look lovely on this Sunday, but maybe that's simply my joy at seeing you
Oh
again.
my
So
gosh. Well, I know. I feel like this is just going to be a gushing episode. I looked at the calendar and I was mortified that we haven't been on air since March.
wow.
Yeah. And, I had gotten very accustomed to our schedule. And so I was like, March? And then your release for that episode was April. And that sounds about right, actually. I was,
You know,
I know we've
that
texted
was
and
that
whatnot, but
that's a while.
that's a while. Well, for us, it's quite a while.
Yeah, it is.
So your
Um
fans are missing you for sure.
oh yes, of course. Yes, the fan.
Oh no, that's so not true.
um I seem to be. I can't tell if we're having connection issues. So
Oh
if
no.
it gets back, we may have to do this again. Yeah, there
Okay.
seems to be a little lag. I've been having weird internet stuff here today,
Okay.
so it may be on my end.
Okay.
If
You look
this
and sound good.
goes if this goes south, well, we will reschedule for when it is heading more northward. So,
All
but
good. All
yeah,
good.
it's been a while. It's been quite a
Yeah.
while.
I know. Well,
So
you've been very busy and
I
in
was out of the
another in
country
another
and
country.
yeah, and now that now that they started releasing some official stuff, yeah, I've been in Italy on the movie. So um,
And for those under a rock, that would be the old guard too.
that's what it would be. Yesterday, it turns out somebody posted in the Discord, in the Tog channel, the Tog movie channel,
Hmm.
a cute, just adorable piece of art that somebody had done on Twitter for the second anniversary of the movie.
Oh.
That's like Joe and Nikki and Andy and Niall and I think Booker hiding in the background, all around, a cake and having various levels of enjoyment at this thing. But it's
Oh my
very,
gosh.
very, yes, it's very cute, and I
Oh.
was amused. So.
Yeah, well, everybody is psyched, obviously, and it's just the little bits that we do get is just looking to be very, very, very exciting and awesome. So, what was the trip like for you though? I know it was a little tumultuous with just being away for that long.
It's really busy. I mean,
Yeah.
there's it's and this as a filmmaker, right? You can there's sort of the hoary chestnut that every movie is made three times. It's made once in the script and once in production and once in post. And you can plan for everything, but it's a constant juggling act.
Hmm.
Um, it's I think I mean I don't have a wealth of experience, but my experience thus far is leads me to believe that there's no such thing as a smooth or simple production.
This is true.
Like in the best of all worlds, say you are a Ryan Johnson, or you wrote it, you're directing it, you know everything you don't have to worry about making huge changes. But
Hmm.
on the day to day, there's always stuff. Do we have the location? We lost the location. We don't have this in budget. We thought we're going to have that. We cannot get those costumes,
Yeah.
and every time I participate in something like this, and I am not, I mean, you've spoken to Fraction. Like if you speak to somebody like, Matt and speaking comics wise, right? But if you speak to like David Walker or Brian Bendis or Matt
Hmm.
Fraction,
Yeah.
their film knowledge is immense, right? Like and their interest in the craft
Right. Right.
is
Right.
substantial. I don't believe that's something that Kelly Sue shares quite as much.
Hmm.
Um, but those three guys in particular, they're just incredibly knowledgeable about the whole
Yeah, the
of the process.
process and everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
especially Matt. Like he's
yeah,
as an aficionado of film plus the
yeah,
process. Yeah, he
and
can. But that's
and
so Matt. I mean, he's so like about the
yeah,
things he's
that's the
interested in.
problem. That's the problem with genius.
Yes. Yes.
And he is so
Yeah.
you know, and they read voraciously and so on, and
Hmm.
I say that by the way of saying so every time I go through this experience, I am re-educated and learning more. And I grew up loving movies, and I grew up in this era of filmmaking, where there are some really um, sort of seminal American movies in the canon that came up during, that were formative for me. Raiders of the
Hmm.
Lost Ark is always going to be one of my most favoritist ever movies.
Yeah.
And I can give you a deep dive textual analysis as to the complexities of that movie,
Okay.
right? But it probably doesn't hurt that, I was what, 12
Right.
when it came out and saw it like 8 times in the theater. Ghostbusters is another one of those movies.
Hmm.
So I am of that era,
Right. Right.
and I came out of that. And in high school, I had a guy who offered an elective on film, and I
Okay.
took it. And, he was sort of the guy who was responsible for introducing me to the ability to read a movie like you read a book,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm. Right.
But that wasn't really about production. It was about the text, right? It was about when you're watching Hitchcock, what is he doing here? What does this
Story and
mean?
arcs
Exactly.
and
Um, the big takeaway, and it's funny, I was talking to my mom because I was away for like 5 weeks, and then I was home for 3, and then I was away for like another 5 or 6.
yes, yes.
Right. And I'm gonna end up going back. It's just a question of when. I think it's a foregone conclusion.
Hmm.
And in between trips 1 and 2, I was talking to my mom, and she was like, "Well, I don't understand. I mean, don't they have the script and so on and so forth?" And I was like, and my mom, who God bless her, has never seen a piece of entertainment she will admit she likes, at least at first. Um, Nothing makes her happier than watching sort of like period BBC things,
Yeah,
right?
me too.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she
Yes.
watches she watches Downton Abbey for the costumes
Yeah.
and the sets. You know what I mean? And the story is secondary to her. And
We
you
could
know,
have a Sunday together, me and your mom.
you, do you like David Suchet's Poirot? Because that is her that's her grilled cheese sandwich, right? She will watch those over and over again. And one of the things she loves about it is not just the performances, it's not just that she loves Suchet, it's not just that she's a mystery fan. It's that the period is captured so perfectly.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I was explaining to her, I was like, okay, so I want you to think about like your favorite episode of Poirot.
Hmm.
And now think about the fact that every single thing you see in that episode Every single thing is by choice. Everything on the desk, everything they're wearing, everyone in the background, everything in the background, right? Every single thing is a decision, and it was put in place. And now I want you to think about all the people who have to do that, all the people who make it possible. And then I need you to think about all the people who make it possible for the people who make it possible to do it. Right? Because you don't think about the fact, quite literally, the first, I wasn't there, I wasn't on set for the first day of shooting.
Oh, okay.
And Evan sent me a picture. And the first shot that they did, the first scene they did, actually is from a little pickup bit about a half an hour, 40 minutes into the movie. Mm-hmm. Right? And it's literally, this is going to count as spoiler content, but I find it hard to believe people want to figure this out. It's Marwan, it's Luca, and it's Mateus. Right? So it's Joe, Nikki, and Booker. And it's just this shot that he's the three of them and this car parked by the side of the road. Right? That's it. Mm-hmm. That's all it is. And it's a road in the middle of nowhere. It's like fields. Okay? It's going to be 5, maybe 10 seconds, maybe like the whole thing, 25, 30 seconds on screen. Maybe. Okay. Maybe. Only 3 actors and a car. That's a full day of shooting.
Yes.
Right? That's literally get to the location, get all the trailers and base camp, right? Go to the location, get everybody in costume, get everybody in makeup, get all of the cameras there, and then shoot it. And then for all of that, you got, okay, where's craft services? Where's the porta-johns? Where's, I mean, everything, right? And this wasn't, I mean, it's out in the middle. Oh, and you have to close the road.
Yeah.
Right. You got to close the road. So it's that realization that even if you think you know, right, it becomes thundering in at you at these moments over and over again of, oh yeah, no, the logistical nightmare. I'll give you another example. Mm-hmm. When I got home the first time, and part of the reason we didn't talk is I got home and the first thing I did upon getting out of the car and turning to go up our driveway was face plant. So like I hurt myself the second I got home. And then the next day, Jen got incredibly sick.
Yes. Yeah. I
right.
Aware. Yeah.
And was down for like 10 days. Mm-hmm. And during that period, I was like, all right, I'm tending her and I am a basket case. And so I watched the Peter Ustinov Death on the Nile.
Oh yeah, right? I saw that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. It is a movie that cannot be made again, ever. And not simply because you can't shoot around the Great Sphinx, like they actually did. You can't do it. And the proof of it is Kenneth Branagh tried. You can't do it because cost-wise and logistically, no studio would back it. Like I'm watching this thing and the first 7 shots of the movie, I'm like, all of those would have been cut. Every studio would have been like, nope, start here. You're just wasting money. Mm-hmm. There's literally a shot early on where it's the whole cast, and it is a all-star cast, right? I mean, it's a pageant movie. Right. in the dining room, and they're all in deep background. They're not. Yeah. I mean, it's David Niven could be just telling dirty jokes to Angela Lansbury. You don't know, right? They're deep in background because the action you're watching is Mia Farrow's entrance, right? And again, I'm looking at that and I'm like, the set, the costume, the music, the lighting, And all of your A-list actors had to be there for however many days it took to shoot that.
Mhm, mhm.
It never happened again. Never.
Times
Never,
have
ever,
changed.
ever, 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 ever happen again. Yeah. So the staggering, and I've said this before, it is never now a question to me of how did they manage to make such a bad movie. It's how did they manage to make a movie?
Yes. Yeah,
I mean,
I people don't
it
realize.
is, yeah, it is. And the thing is, we live in this culture where there's all this information about it, and everybody thinks they're an insider, and it is the most tedious and impossible accomplishment to make one of these things. And one can argue it's also a pointless endeavor, right? Like if you spent $135 million on this piece of entertainment, or spent $135 million on, oh, I don't know, fighting fascism, right? Now you can create a piece of art that will hopefully fight fascism, but
Probably for less than 135 mil.
well, but there's no corporate desire to make that, right? There's
Right.
no corporate desire to fight fascism,
Hmm.
right?
Well,
That's
where's the
fascism's
money
good for
in that?
business. Exactly. It's good for business. I can get the
Where's the money
contracts.
in that?
So,
Yeah, I know.
so
I
yeah.
would be in the same boat though. It's a constant relearning when you don't do something for a year or so, and so in anything really, but for sure in the film industry, and it's changed so much, even since I had been on an actual set, so I can only imagine. But
Well,
it's
the way
also
the text changed,
yes, yes,
and now
everything
with
changes.
COVID, right? We're
Yeah, a
not
lot
even
of
talking about the
processes.
COVID
Yeah,
of
the
it all.
testing and everything. So,
Well,
um,
and people get it.
yes,
There's
yeah,
there's
and
just
then
no way
things
you
shut
can have a
down, and
thousand. Exactly. You've got a
yeah,
thousand people working on this thing. Somebody's getting COVID every day,
exactly, exactly.
right?
Yeah,
So how are you managing that?
yeah, it's
It's
insane. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm
yeah,
glad you're
it
back,
is. It
even if it's
really
for a bit.
is. It is ludicrous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I am very glad to be back, even
Yes.
if it's only for a bit.
Yeah, I
It's
know. I
it's nice
know.
to see the family and the dog. So, I
Yeah,
should
and
say
I'm
the dog
sure,
is part of the family, but I'm
of
calling
course.
her out specifically.
Well, because we all know that Marlo gets a lot of airtime on this podcast. So
Yes, she
we
does.
all
So,
know that, she needed you back anyway. So like she gets very, very neurotic when you're gone or anyone's gone. But yeah, I
yeah,
hope you've gotten some time.
she and I have patched things up. She's had a rough week.
Oh,
Starting with the 4th of July,
oh, of
and
course. Yeah.
then moving through the fact that we've had to have our roof redone. So that
Mm.
means strangers are climbing around the house and
It's
banging
so
with
loud.
compressors, and yeah, so
Oh,
she
it's
is
so loud.
she's doing much better now. It's
Okay,
funny when
yeah.
I got home this time, I had finally learned my lesson. I got home and it was like 3 in the morning
Mm.
because air travel, as everybody is aware, right? Air
Oh,
travel is completely screwed right now.
yes, yes.
So I get in at 3 in the morning, and I just dropped the bags and immediately gave her, okay, you get a full 2 minutes of my attention first. Here's the hugging, here's the petting, here's all of it.
Oh, you see.
And then I get to kiss my wife
Right, you have to
and my
make amends.
daughters.
Otherwise, you're going to be like
Exactly.
outcast the whole time you're there and have that evil glare from Marlo.
Well,
Like,
she
how
just
dare
wouldn't be
you?
patient for it. She just
Yeah.
she just literally was not going to wait in any line. So I was smart enough to know that she was not going to be reasoned with. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. Well, it's nice to be loved and
Yes, it
missed.
is. It is a wonderful thing to come
Yeah.
home having been missed, you know.
Hmm.
And the pure happiness that comes from a pet and seeing you again is a special thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I would
and
imagine.
and and I say that as somebody who I held Jen for a really long time, and no question at all how important that was. Yeah, but for Marlo, it's a totally different thing. It's just like, you're back.
Yeah.
I'm losing my mind. Um,
Oh.
so yeah, it was sweet. She's a good girl.
Yes, yes. Well, I'm glad. And hopefully the jet lag and everything, because I know that that's always a thing for you. And but do you get any downtime? Because I know while you're there, it's go, 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 super, super crazy busy. I mean, do you at least get like a really
I,
good meal somewhere? Because
oh
it's
well, I
always
mean, the hotel fed me really well,
yeah, but
but
to venture
I
out down a local
no, no.
oh
It's kind of like doing a con. You
yeah,
know,
okay.
if people ask, what you think of, Topeka,
XYZ
all I
city.
can
Yeah.
say is this is a convention center was great,
Yeah.
or whatnot. No, because you're there to work.
Yeah.
So,
And they're
and
long
for me,
days. People don't
they
realize how
are, and
long the
and for
days
me,
are.
that was mostly working sort of a residence hotel that they had us in. So I had like a 1 bedroom apartment
Hmm.
and had a little balcony that overlooked this Roman alley, and that was my view of Rome. And I would go up to the gym and I had a better view of Rome.
Yeah.
Um, and I would go out every couple of days to the nearby, little market, and I would do some shopping,
Hmm.
right? But otherwise, I was whether on set or in my
Hmm.
room working.
Yeah.
So
So now that you're home on break, are you actually taking a break or is
I'm
there a lot more
trying
work to do?
so hard to take a break.
Do I need to
I
text you daily reminders? Put the pen down,
No,
don't type.
no, that's not it. The problem
Oh,
is
they
not
keep calling
me.
you?
It's not even that. It's that I got back to everything that was waiting after 6 weeks, and it's like
Mm.
I really want to get I really want a little vacation.
Yeah.
And right now, the vacation would be a staycation, right? I just really want to sit here and play a stupid video game for like 2 or 3 days in a row. That's all I want, right?
Hmm.
And I have been unable to do that.
Oh,
It's been impossible to do that for a variety of reasons. So I am doubling down. That is my plan for the next 2 days.
okay.
And then Wednesday, I'm going back to work.
Okay.
But yeah, for the time being, this is you're my exception. You're not work, you
Oh.
know. And Matthew Clark's going to join us for dinner, and that'll be nice. I'll be happy to see him.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, and it's weird. I mean, the decompression is hard,
It
and
is.
it's again. And I don't want to overstate this, right? I mean, I really don't want to overstate it because it starts to sound like playing the tiniest violin in the world. Um, but it is not just mentally exhausting; it's emotionally and it's physically exhausting.
Hmm.
Um, it's really, really, like I say, from the outside, you have no conception of how hard it is to make this thing.
Hmm.
And on the inside, you're just like, everybody is, you know, in the best of environments, everybody just, fighting forward, and there's always complications. There's always stuff that changes, or
Yeah.
somebody's schedule changed, and
Yeah, I remember
um,
when I talked to Gina from the first
yeah,
movie, and she talked about her preparation for any film she directs wasn't, you know, meditation. It was literally like stocking up on her vitamins, getting her immune system ready, getting her
Yeah.
physical, abilities up, because she says it's so taxing on you physically and mentally, but like just even the health aspect of it, like having to gear up for something that's so involved because you're
Yeah.
going to be so run down and you just know it. It's like you're going for an all-nighter for however many months this
Yeah.
project is going to
It's a
be.
marathon.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
a
it's a
marathon.
marathon, and we're going to be filming for a while yet. We're not even halfway through.
Oh,
Um,
so I still have a chance to come out.
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
Look,
I love Italy.
If you and Oscar decide to hit Rome, let me know.
Okay.
I may well be there.
All right.
Um,
Maybe then we can broadcast live from Rome. And with the buongiorno, we could do a Italian episode.
there you go.
Um,
Yes.
that would
So
be
no,
that would be fun.
it's yeah. I mean, the one good thing that I can say about that kind of experience, about being, sort of in that bubble, is that you can only devote so much time to the rest of the world being on fire.
Yeah.
You know
When
what
I
I
said,
mean?
"Oh, Oscar, I'm going to be talking to Greg," he goes, "Oh shit, you guys are going to have like 4 hours blocked out for how horrible things are." I'm like, I don't think we want to go depressing in this one, but
No, I
it'll
mean,
inevitably come up.
I well, not to avoid the elephant in the room that we've all just now pointed at. Um, yeah, it's ghastly. I mean,
Hmm.
it's horrible. This is a judicial coup. Um, and I saw somebody, I think, and one of the things that happens, right, because when we're on the production, right, I can't send photos. I get, like, my
Right.
Instagram
Yeah,
account is
you're
pointless, right? So, um, but and I think I saw it on Instagram, and it was maybe after I got back, and I don't know who originally said it. It was one of those ones where it's being quoted by somebody who's quoting by
right,
somebody.
right, right.
Um, but the long and the short of it was, like, it's not about, Democrat or Republican. It's about fascist versus anti-fascist. Um, and I think that that's absolutely true. I am so furious at the Dems. It's not funny.
Mm-hmm.
The Republicans haven't, made any, they haven't made any secret of what they've been about. They've been
No,
about
and
it
it's
for
not
years.
new. Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
new, right?
But
And so
the
we've just
absolute failure of the Democrats to do anything, literally now it's like we're past the 11th hour, guys, and you screwed the pooch.
Mhm.
Um, and there was a viral video of some young woman, when the Roe decision came down, saying, I got, a fundraising email.
Yeah.
I mean, it's beyond galling, and I'm not sure. Um, like I say, it's not about party anymore. It's about ideology, and it is not fascism is not a popular ideology. It's a loud one. But if it was a popular ideology, they wouldn't need to fix it, right? They wouldn't need to put the fix in.
Mhm.
So, this is as stark as it's going to get. I mean, it doesn't get any clearer than this. It
Mhm.
really doesn't. There was that story about the woman from Plano, Texas, who was pulled over, got ticketed for driving in, like, the commuter lane, and then said, "Well, I've got a baby. That's two of us," according to the Supreme Court. And that's the first thing, is the laugh. I
Yeah.
mentioned it to Jen, and she said, Texas is at the forefront of the movement to grant the fetus civil rights status.
Oh.
And that may not be somebody going, I'm trying to get out of it. It may be somebody going, no, that's our next step. Our next step is now to grant the unborn baby civil rights. This is a person now, right? That's the level of absurdity. You know,
Yeah.
Ohio legislature introducing a bill to teach both sides of the Holocaust. There's no other side to the Holocaust.
Oh, I didn't
There
even
is
know about that.
no other side to the Holocaust. There
Oh,
really isn't. It's one of those things where it's like, what other side is there? They had it coming. I mean, really, that's it. The Catholics and the gays and the Jews and the gypsies, the Romani, they had it coming. That's the other side. That's bullshit.
hmm.
So yeah, I mean, we got elections coming up,
I know. I don't even know. Uh,
and
blah.
and 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 you're going to see low turnout. And you see low turnout unless something happens that says it's worth our while. Because right now, the people who have absolutely voted over and over again have been just have been absolutely and entirely failed,
Yeah.
failed. And
And
it's not me going and just to jump on this. Look, I know why people are furious that Garland hasn't charged anyone, and I know why he hasn't. I know why he hasn't. But I tell you, the second these hearings are over, if the arrests don't start being made, we have a real problem, right?
hmm.
You couldn't jump the gun. You had to let the committee finish its work. The committee's going to finish its work in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, and then we'll
And the
see.
second the second it's done, we need to see people in cuffs. Um, I have, and the thing is, there's a window now, and it is
Yeah.
getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and it is literally, and I'm not being hyperbolic. It is literally you have this much time to save the country,
hmm.
and if you don't, the country's going to become something else. Um, and
Yeah, and you
I do
kind of
not.
warned us of this. You and I
I,
talked about
I
it, and I was so hopeful in 2020, and you're like, it's a reprieve, but
yeah, it's a
yeah.
band aid. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
It-
Well,
it-
then, but that was before also, RGB dying, and like that was before like all of the judicial things that came down to really
yeah.
solidify that. Because this is true. Once the last two Supreme Court justices were appointed, then I was totally all in with the well, now we're really screwed kind of thing. And here it is.
So I'm asking this not hyperbolically, to use that word again. I mean, have you and Oscar talked about, where you're going to go?
We always joke about going to New Zealand, but that's not going to happen, obviously. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm talking about in the continental
I
United
know,
States. Like,
I
where are
know
you
you,
going?
I know you are. And yeah, I don't know. I can't say that it's, it's difficult for us because of, I guess, what's established here. And so we talk about this thing it's almost like having this child that can't move from Orlando. And so we can't leave our child behind kind of
Yeah.
thing, which in effect is the Wallam Temple. And at the end of the day, it is a building and is this just a structure, right? So that's not necessarily true, but it's just hard. It's hard when you've poured kind of everything for your whole life into something and then like everything around you just crumbling and changing
Now,
to where
now take exactly what you're describing and just make the appropriate substitutions for everybody else who is having to consider this, financial, family, professional, because everybody's got it.
yeah.
Everybody's got that. And and what I'm saying by that is not and therefore get over it. I'm saying no, those are real, and those are real for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
They're real for everybody, and this is yeah, I mean, there's gonna I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I am
We
very, very grateful that Elliot is back home from New York.
yeah.
Um, but beyond that, and Oregon has got a lot going for it, but we
Mhm.
also are, surrounded by, the water on one side and, MAGA hats on every other.
Mhm.
Um, and it could get real bad here, real
Yes.
easily.
Yeah, no, there are constantly things that are popping up, and it's just like you just don't know where is quote unquote the right or safe place to be because it's really
It's
not
safe.
anywhere.
Safe is the
Yeah.
word, and like I say, this is an incredible luxury that Americans
Yes.
have had. You talk about your dad's story, right?
Hmm.
His life story
Yeah.
is a story of moving to a place of safety.
Yes.
Most of the population of this planet do not live in safety or
Correct.
stability.
Yeah.
Americans have been very fortunate
Hmm.
to have had it for as long as they have had in the main. I feel very strongly that is coming to a sharp end and a violent end. And what will come out on the other side, I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
And I don't know how
that,
Americans are going to react because they're not used to not having the luxuries that they have,
yeah,
right? Like the gas
yeah,
goes up a bit and the type of organic meat you want in the store isn't available right now. And that's a problem, right? Like these
yeah,
are definitively, we always say first world problems, but it's very true.
yeah,
Oscar and I are fortunate because we get the chance to travel and see how other third world countries live and get to come home and ground ourselves. And I'm like, well, look, there's a toilet and a bathroom here. We're so lucky. And
yeah.
you
There's
have to
running
have those
clean
reminders,
water.
right? There's electricity and, like people
Yeah.
don't realize what's really out there. And again, that's from
Like
a place of
cholera is
luxury.
not something we worry about on a daily basis,
No.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yes.
Um, and yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, we have to decide, what we're willing to fight for.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm
And I
honestly
think
worried in
very,
November here in Florida. I'm
oh,
worried for November. November here in Florida is going to be what, like you said, whether we have some serious discussion about, okay, should we be in this state or is this not a state anymore, like of the United States, or what's happening? Because we're in a really, really, really bad place here in Florida with a lot of the laws that have been passed.
oh,
And
DeSantis is evil. I mean,
oh
he
yeah.
is he is malicious and evil, and 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 it is all part of a design.
Hmm.
Um,
I think he's definitely going to run anyway
oh
for
yeah,
2024. I think that the
yeah, he's
orange
he's
one is finally kind of it has been overtaken now, and he was
yeah.
just biding his time. And
And then Ron will run in part with a promise that he will pardon uh, Trump, um,
mm,
and everybody else involved, I'm sure.
oh
And
boy.
then you get yeah, and that's how we cascade down this slide into the razor blades of life.
I should
Um,
just start digging a hole for my bunker now. And Oscar and I used to laugh and kid about it, but we're actually a little serious that we just basically need to go underground because we don't have guns, and this is an open carry state, and we're very much. I mean, I have friends that have acres and acres, and they're fairly well armed, so I may have to just move in with them because we're screwed.
well, I do love the conservative conceit that only conservatives have guns and only conservatives know how to shoot.
Yeah.
Um, I I know a lot of liberals who uh, and these are people who absolutely firmly believe in gun control,
Hmm.
like who would cheerfully be like, take them all away, right? But at this moment, they're like, yeah, you take your best shot. You
Yeah.
know, they are they yeah, it's I we could play this game for a while. We don't need to.
Yeah. I know
It
it's
is
so dark,
incredibly
but
bad.
it's so much.
What has happened, is grotesque and is a theft, and it is the end stage betrayal of the principles of the country. That has been certainly worked towards for at least 40, certainly 30, if not 40 years.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I'm not sure it can be arrested at this point. I think it may have to run its full
Play
course.
out. Mm.
Yeah, it may have to play out. Now, should that happen, I do believe that the ultimate extension of that playing out will be to the better. It will emerge in a better place,
Hmm.
but it's going to be long and it's going to be ugly, and I can't guarantee that there will be anything resembling the United States when it's done.
Hmm. Yeah, the collateral damage and the will be
Yeah.
great for sure. But in the meantime, I guess we have to do what we can do, which is block out as much of it as possible. Like you said, the one thing good about being on set is you're not inundated constantly. And I know that on the Discord there's the news channel part, and I like hesitate to click on it sometimes.
Yeah,
And then
sometimes you're like,
I
I'm
was like
not sure I want
locked
to be the.
out for months on this thing, and I didn't realize like, oh, you just have to create a new account. And it was like my one contribution was starting a whole security Q&A on, hey guys, I got locked out. I don't know what happens. I don't know what backup codes are. I didn't realize you had to save them separately. And I was like, oh, look, people are
Oops.
talking. And I like, it was like a huge engagement. It was really funny. But it's so nice because everybody's so willing to try to be helpful in my very neophyte um
Well,
technological fail.
I had noticed that you had been quiet. So when you came back and you were like, "Yeah, I locked myself out," I was like, "Oh, that explains that."
Yeah. And I'm
I
normally quiet. I'm kind of more of a viewer, and
Yeah,
but
no,
occasionally
which is why I hadn't been like something is wrong.
right, go find Mimi. She's lost.
Yeah, we haven't heard from Mimi today. Something must be up.
Right.
But jumping back, I mean, I'm not advocating, obviously, and I know you're not, sticking our heads in the sand.
Right.
It
Yes.
goes back to the self-care arguments or not arguments, but the discussions we've had about self-care in the past,
Mhm.
right? You have
Mhm.
to, you have to, and again, going to the Gina thing, right? You got to stay healthy
Yeah.
and you got to stay
Yeah.
strong and you
Yeah, and
got
I
to stay
think
strong.
in this too, you can't be reactive. You have to be preventative, right?
Yeah.
So it's now we're at a point, look, we know we can see what's happening, where this is headed. So we have to just get ahead of it. But you're right. And being that you are my catalyst to activism, right? There is a lot that we as people can do and have been doing, and
And
it
must
does
continue
matter
to do.
and must
Yes.
continue to. But you're right. And my only example is just like 2 weeks ago after the Roe v. Wade overturn. And I am not the type of activist that's normally like leading the parade and at every protest, and um that's usually just not the action steps that I normally take. And so when given the opportunity to speak at the rally that I was invited to by a representative here, I was like, you know what? I do feel really strongly about this one. I feel like I have things to say, to contribute, and then to represent. And I did not realize the impact that that would have had on me. And so it
Yeah.
was immense. And it was a really good one. It was a really good attended event in terms
I
of
saw the footage that you
the
posted, and
energy. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. And of course, so it's like Comic Cons, right? I'm like, I've never really been to any cons. And the first time I go, I'm on a panel. I don't really go to protests. And the first time I go, I'm like the guest speaker, a guest speaker in a line of like people who are really like doing the work and running organizations. And, so it
Yeah.
was just such an honor to be there and be included, but it was powerful. The energy in the room, and then taking to the streets and walking together in a movement in one direction towards something, like it
Yeah.
was super powerful. And then the flip side of the self-care was, and then I was exhausted for over a week. Like it
Yeah.
had just gutted me, and I didn't realize how impacting that would be. And so everybody definitely take to the streets or do what you need to do, but there is you can it's not something you can do every day. They're like, hey, you're going to go to the one on the 4th, or you're going to go to the one on the 2nd. I'm like, I actually need a
Like,
moment.
no, yeah,
Yeah, I need a
I need to
moment.
stop to breathe.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
needed a moment. And it was a lot. And, there's a lot also that I shared. I'd never shared in front of a live audience like that. So there was just,
Mhm.
it was really, it was very insightful for me to kind of learn about a bit about myself, but also how it affects others, and what that does for people. And I see why people march. And I just think, oh my gosh, what it must have been like for some of those marches back in the day. I just can't
Mhm.
even imagine the scale. Just having participated in something, in the small way that I have. And but I see why people do it. I see why you
Mhm.
march, and why we must. And it's very powerful. It's really
Yeah.
powerful. So, and I just hope that enough people can stay motivated to
Oh, I don't
make a
think,
difference.
yeah, I don't think motivation is the problem.
Yeah.
I think it's frustration. Um, and in the face of that kind of this level of frustration, and bear in mind, one of the tactics has been to make you despair, right? One of the tactics has been to say your vote doesn't matter,
Right.
right? That is an overt tactic. The goal is to keep you from exercising your right. I'll have to find it and I'll send it to you maybe. I take Marlo on very long walks,
Yeah.
right? That's how I'm making things up to her. And I've been listening to some of these Michael Pritchard read Nero Wolfe stories by Rex Stout. And Jen is a huge Rex Stout fan, and I am a huge Rex Stout fan as a result. There is a description in the last Nero Wolfe novel that Stout wrote, which is called A Family Affair, and which is not the book to start with if you've never read Nero Wolfe
Okay.
before. I say this, and it was written during Watergate. And one of the things Stout did is that while Archie and Nero never get older,
Hmm.
the books always reflect their period, right? So, a series that starts in the 1930s makes it to the 1970s with all the changes that have happened. The book the books always acknowledge that the world has changed. Archie
Hmm.
and Nero are the same.
Got it.
And there is a passage in this book where Archie is going to vote. And it's him literally having to go to his polling place. And there's a description of, and these are all told in first person. So it's Archie talking about how he doesn't understand why anybody wouldn't do this. Like, you have this right. And this is that one moment where you are the absolute star of the show, where
Hmm.
you get to stand up and say, no, what I think matters. And it's a beautiful passage, and I will have to find it. And
Yeah,
it's the sort of
please.
thing that you need to type up.
Hmm.
Maybe it'll go on an Instagram story. You know what
There
I
you
mean?
go.
But it like I say, if the vote didn't matter, why would there be so many grotesque and overt efforts to control it and corrupt it and to keep people from doing it? If the vote doesn't matter, why do you gerrymander?
Hmm.
If the vote doesn't matter, why do you spend so much time saying voting doesn't is illegitimate? right? If the voting doesn't matter, why are you arguing that people have to, we're going to have to police the polling places? If the vote doesn't matter, why are we making it so difficult for people to have their voice? Right? I mean, you can't have it. It's the same thing as their stance on being pro-life, right? It's no, you're not. You're pro-control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you don't fucking care at all about lives. You don't give one goddamn because to you, the child that was not aborted, as long as that kid can be murdered in a second grade classroom, things are fine. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. The logic doesn't hold. It's the oldest truth, which is, what are you gonna believe? Me or your lying eyes?
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently we believe them because our eyes are lying. It has nothing to do at all with what they say. Nothing. Look at what they do. Look at what they do. Look at the decisions the Supreme Court made. I mean, seriously, look at the major decisions. The decision about the cops, the decision about guns,
Mm-hmm.
right? The decision saying that innocence is not enough now, right? And Roe. I mean, look at what they're doing, not what they're saying. Look at what they're doing. These are all steps in a fascist chain.
Yep.
And if you didn't think we were at war before, we are now.
Mm-hmm.
And we gotta be ready when the front comes to us.
Yeah. No,
If
and
we're
the
not
voter
going to
suppression.
it, yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's here too. I literally Oscar's uh party affiliation just got removed somehow and then had to kind of re-sign up to be a voter. And
mhm.
I only because I checked on it. Because my mom is obsessive now about
Uh-huh.
checking and making sure she gets her ballots and all this stuff because it's just things happen here randomly in Florida,
Uh-huh.
especially. And there's been a lot of serious issues. And I'm like, no, this is not hearsay. These aren't stories. Like literally like my mailbox. I know what's coming in and what's happening here. And like it's it's real. And people don't believe it because they choose to watch something on whatever, right? Fox or whatever. And then they're like, well, that I heard this,
Mhm.
and it's just,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, it's in whataboutism and all this.
yeah,
Yeah, I
whataboutism.
just,
Yeah.
you know, just look,
Mm-hmm.
just look.
Yeah. The proof
It's
is in
there.
front of us. Yeah.
Yeah. And we haven't even talked about the January 6th hearings, right?
No,
I
we
mean,
haven't
it's
talked
like
about
no,
January
no.
6th at all.
And we're not going to,
No.
mostly because it's almost one year, and then So look, I said we should. I pointed to the elephant. I said, well, let's spend a little
There it
time on the
is.
elephant.
The
We've spent a
elephant's
half an hour
there.
on the elephant.
The elephant. Yeah.
So
Let's go back to
nice
comics.
elephant. Nice elephant.
Oh,
Uh,
but wouldn't be a Mimi and Greg show without it.
well,
And also lots happened in 4 months.
well, I mean, I figure this is Mimi and Greg show part one. We
You're
can try to
right.
talk on Thursday
We
again or
should.
something.
Yes. This is definitely part
Um,
one. Definitely part one. We have so much to catch up. And that's why it's like
we
Oscar's like, oh
do.
boy. And I love that I got to say to you, did you set aside Ed Brubaker time? Because
Yeah,
when you call
that was
Ed,
funny.
it's gonna be about 4 hours.
It is. It's like, do you have other things to do today? It's like, unfortunately, yes. So,
I love him so much though, because only murders in the building just started back. And it always reminds me of him because like we spent like over an hour talking
I
about it.
so I've only watched the first episode of the second season
Me too. Me
with
too.
Jen,
Yes, I'm behind.
but we went back and we watched the pilot
Oh,
with Elliot, and
okay.
I had forgotten how the pilot starts,
Oh, okay. Like
right?
the beginning of the end of the, yeah.
The very beginning of it,
Yes.
uh,
Yes.
and how it is worth, if you didn't watch the first series through after seeing it, watch it again,
Mm.
because everything, like knowing what you know,
Yeah.
everything is laid out
Right.
beautifully. It is
Yeah.
so well done. Um,
And
it's
this
just
coming from a writer of crime fiction.
yeah, though I'm not a good writer. See, I'm
Oh
a fine writer. I'm a
God.
fine writer of crime fiction. I'm a horrible writer of mysteries.
Hmm.
So they did a very good job with the mystery
Yeah.
on top
Oh
of
yeah,
everything.
it's so much fun. So much
Yeah,
fun. So I mean, that's
yeah,
these are the things, right? Like we have to have the entertainment. We have to
yeah.
have things to keep
And
us going.
you get to, and you don't have to feel guilty
Right.
about
Right.
loving Strange New Worlds, for instance. Like,
Mhm.
oh my God, there's a Star Trek show that's a Star Trek show. Holy shit! They remembered what this was about.
Yeah.
I have believed, and I may have mentioned this before, and this might be the good note to end on. And I am responsible. I am a guilty party in this. But I have believed for a very long time now that part of the problem we are in as a society is due to um, the cynicism in the stories that we have been telling for the last 40, 50 years. Um, that the movies that came out in the 70s that were a result of Watergate were
Hmm.
very important and good, right? Like movies like The Conversation and things like that. Beautiful, brilliant films. But post moving into the Reagan 80s, we lost a vision of a better future. We turned to dystopia, right? We got, instead of the movies like The Terminator being an outlier, right? Movies like The Terminator became de rigueur. It's something horrible will happen
Yeah, the main.
and civilization will collapse and politicians will do horrible things and people will revert to horrible things. And it picked up through the 90s, and you look and you can track it with Star Trek, right? Star Trek's, the original series, right, is a vision of this very positive,
Yeah,
near,
hope and
quest
new
for a
life.
utopian
Yeah.
future, right? And Next Generation does that. And I say this to somebody who loves DS9, and DS9 takes that to task, complicates it, and then it loses itself going on, and then you get like, and now we have Strange New Worlds, and it is about overcoming and moving forward and being inclusive and being I and I say this as somebody like, you know, Matthew Clark is, you know, you cut him and he bleeds, you know, green Vulcan blood. He is, you know, he has always been a Star Trek guy.
Hmm.
I have enjoyed Trek,
Hmm.
right, but it was never my religion,
Right.
right? I was more of a Star Wars, you know, zealot.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
used to be my religion. Um, but yeah, if you haven't seen Strange New Worlds,
I have not. Yeah.
watch the first, just literally watch the first three,
Okay.
right? You don't even need to watch the first three, but they do what the best classic Trek did.
Okay.
And it is, and you don't need anything going in. You don't have to watch any of the stuff
Right. Right.
that
Right.
sort of set it up. Um,
Okay.
and it is, you want something that you'll feel good after you watch it. I
Okay.
highly recommend it. Um, and and it is absolutely the kind of thing where you go like, oh, I feel better.
Yeah. I
That was
need that.
fun. Yeah, that was fun
Yeah.
and joyful, and 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 positive,
Yes. Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
and
Before the pandemic.
and not saccharine.
Right,
So
right, right. And before the pandemic, I loved dystopian future YA novels and books. And then as soon, as soon as the pandemic, I'm like, I just
yeah,
can't
not so
really,
cool.
I can't read
Yeah.
it anymore as much, right? Like it's just too much. I'm already like seeing it every day. It's just, I
But
don't
this
need it.
is look, I
Yeah.
believe if I was in charge of all entertainment, right, and
Hmm.
clearly somebody on the Star Trek side of things got this, the things I would do right now, like the things I would be making right now, is I'd be
Yeah.
making a Superman movie where he's super,
Hmm.
right, where he's genuinely Superman, where he's doing the right thing because it's the right thing to do. It's not cynical. It's not apologist. I would do a Superman movie like the original
Like the
Donner one that has Superman flying around Metropolis, stopping this crime, and I'm helping these people, and I'm getting a cat out of a tree,
yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Because people joke about it. The cat out of the tree is the most important thing he does that night,
Yeah.
right? I mean, if you think about it, that moment is more important than all the other crimes he stops, right? We need that, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
It doesn't, and saying a Superman movie where it's so broadly, we need that. Yes.
Okay.
Good PI, a traditional private investigator who
Hmm.
is, quote, the best man in his world and a good enough man for any world. And you need that because ACAB, right? The PI was big. Rockford hit coming out of a Watergate world. And then they reverted with Magnum, where
Hmm.
Magnum is very much the anti Rockford, right? He's never short on money. He never has to
Hmm.
worry about money. And hey, military and technology is great,
Right.
right? And we didn't actually lose Vietnam. I'm still fighting it, right?
Right.
I mean that was Magnum.
Hmm.
Give me a Rockford like PI.
Okay.
That's the and give me a vision of a future where we actually manage to save the planet and each other.
Hmm.
Give me that. And I'm getting that in Strange New Worlds.
Oh,
Strange New
okay.
Worlds is giving me at least that one. So
Nice.
yeah.
Very nice. Well, I will look forward to watching it actually, because you're right. We need a lot more of that.
Seriously, you and Oscar, look, we'll talk on Thursday. I expect you
Yeah.
to have seen
All
the first one by then.
right. Homework.
Okay.
I will. I
Yes,
will.
that's
Because
your
a
homework.
lot of my shows are kind of darker, and it's a little exhaustive, even if they're good. It's
Yeah.
still like I
Well,
love
and
Peaky
even
Blinders, but
oh
it's
yeah, but Jesus Christ,
right,
it's
right.
like
It's like
it it's the
like I
same
have
thing
to
as like I love Breaking
prepare.
Bad, but
Right, right.
you
You
don't
don't
watch
re
Breaking Bad because you wanted a good time,
No, and you don't
you know?
rewatch it either. Like, I just want to snuggle to this one. Yeah. And so that's the thing. It's
Yeah,
like a lot of the shows are just like, oh, so it's heavy. And so yeah, we
yeah,
we definitely need a lot of that. And so that's I know my
yeah. No,
reading and
I'm
my intake has changed for as
yeah.
the world around me
But
has
see, that's good
crumbled.
self-care.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And I
good
don't feel guilty
self-care.
about it. Like, oh, I need to offset this with some nonfiction to, get smarter or something. So I don't do that anymore. Now I'm just like, this is what I want to listen to. This is what I want to read. And before I let you go off air,
There's a reason I've been listening to Rex Stout because
okay.
they make me feel
Um,
good.
before I let you go off air, did you catch the Brian K. Vaughan interview by any chance yet?
Oh, I in fact did. Yes. Congratulations, you landed your big fish.
Well, I did that already. As our origin story has told, where I literally almost climbed over a train to get to you. So that was the big one. But obviously, I've been waiting to talk to Brian Kivon for a really long
Yeah,
time,
no.
and he spoke
I
really
was
highly of you.
which was incredibly generous of him, and
I even mentioned it in his newsletter.
it is high praise. He is he is a remarkable talent. But I was really delighted, and I was really delighted for you because I knew how long you had been trying to get that.
I know.
So
I'm so persistent.
yeah, persistent is good.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with
like
nothing wrong with
tasteful, it
persistent.
wasn't like texting every day or anything, but every
No, I
month
didn't
or
think
two or
that
three.
that's harassment. That's not
Yeah, that's
tasteful.
harassment.
There's no such thing as tasteful harassment. So,
Oh my God. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I'm like, hopefully he'll come back. And he seemed to have enjoyed the chat. So, but it was good. But I was tickled that he talked about my pal Greg Rucka, and he also put it in the newsletter. It's funny because when I went to kind of prep for it, reread Saga and everything, I saw in one of his, to be continued at the back matter, and he had talked about like, ooh, really looking forward to this Lazarus by Rucka and Lark. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to it too.
All right, we're gonna talk about that on Thursday.
We will. We are talking on Thursday. We will talk
Yes,
about issue
yeah.
7.
We'll talk about it on Thursday.
And actually, I will have a Lazarus related announcement when we talk on Thursday. No, I wish I could say it's TV. No, I can't say that. But we will definitely talk about it. Okay.
Very good. So officially though, awesome to welcome you back. I missed you so much.
I missed you too. It
so
is
many
wonderful
ways.
to see you. And give my love to the family, and
Thank you.
and I mean the whole family. Mom and dad and sister and your spouse. Okay.
I will. Now I actually get to just text Jen since since we're like we're connected. So yeah,
That's
but
right.
I love
buds.
that you're home with everybody. So that's really lovely.
Yeah.
All right. Take care until then.
Absolutely. Talk to you soon.
That's all for today's episode. Thanks for listening to the Sifu Mimi Chan Show. You can become a patron of the show at patreon.com/Sifu Mimi Chan to help keep this podcast going. Follow me and interact on social media at Sifu Mimi Chan on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.